They want the whole damn dollar. This campaign is listening to young people. And what young people are telling me is, why is it that they are being punished because they did the right thing and got an education? I have talked to young people all over this country who are $30,000, $50,000, $70,000 in debt, and they're going to be paying off that debt for decades. Anybody here facing student debt? We're going to do two things. Number one, in a highly competitive global economy where we need the best educated workforce in the world, we are going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And secondly, we are going to give those people, millions of people with student debt, the opportunity to refinance that debt at the lowest interest rates possible. Now, people say to me, well, Bernie, you're a nice guy, you're Santa Claus, giving away free tuition at public colleges, lowering student debt. How are you going to pay for it? I will tell you exactly how we're going to pay for it. This country bailed out Wall Street after their greed and illegal behavior destroyed our economy. I believe that right now we need to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. Which will bring in more than enough money to provide free tuition at public colleges and universities and lower student debt. We bailed out Wall Street. Now it is Wall Street's time to help the middle class of this country. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Latino community. There are 11 million undocumented people in this country, many of them being exploited and living in fear. The Latino community and I want a path toward citizenship through comprehensive immigration reform. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. And what they are asking me is, how does it happen that we have trillions of dollars to spend on a war in Iraq we never should have gotten into, but we do not have available funds to rebuild inner cities like Flint, Michigan? In inner city after inner city, including Milwaukee, Wisconsin, unemployment rate too high, healthcare access very poor, schools disgraceful. We are going to rebuild inner cities in America, and when we do that, we're going to create millions of decent paying jobs. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Native American community. Everybody knows that from day one, the Native American people have been lied to, cheated, and their treaties have been abrogated. We owe the Native American people more than we can ever repay. They have given us so much in our culture. They have given us and taught us about how we respect the environment. They have taught us that we have got to live with nature, not destroy nature. I am on the Senate Committee on the Environment, and let me tell you unequivocally, I have talked to scientists all over the world. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity, and it is already causing massive problems in our country and around the world. We have the moral responsibility to leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable for future generations. We can and we must take on the fossil fuel industry, transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energies. And we are going to tell the fossil fuel industry their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. There are Republicans running around this country talking about family values. And let us all be clear as to what they mean by family values. What they mean is that no woman in this arena, in this state, in this country should have the right to control her own body. I disagree. What they mean is that our gay brothers and sisters should not have the right to get married. I disagree. There is one country in the industrialized world that does not guarantee health care to all people, and you are living in it. So let me repeat to you what I have said many times and have been criticized for saying many times. And that is, in my view, health care is a right of all people, not a privilege. The Affordable Care Act, and I'm on the committee that helped write the Affordable Care Act, has done a lot of good things, but we have got to go further. Today in America, 29 million people have no health insurance. Many of you are underinsured, high deductibles and copayments, and every day, all of us are getting ripped off by the drug companies who are charging us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. But after all that, we end up spending far more per capita on health care than do the people of any other nation. What I believe is now is the time for us to pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. When we do that, we guarantee health care for every American, and at the same time, we save the average middle-class family thousands of dollars a year on their health care costs. Every person here understands that real change in this country has never taken place from the top on down. It has always been from the bottom on up. Whether it is workers 100 years ago coming together and saying, we're not animals, we will not be exploited, we will have some say on our jobs, we're going to negotiate contracts, we will form unions. Whether it is the civil rights movement, where for hundreds of years African Americans and their allies said, no, in America, segregation, racism, bigotry is not acceptable. Whether it is the women's movement, people forget, 100 years ago, women did not have the right to vote, the right to get the education they wanted, the right to do the work they wanted. But women stood up, they fought back, they went to jail, some of them died. And they and their male allies said, women will not be second-class citizens in this country. If we were in this room 10 years ago, not a long time, and somebody jumped up and said, you know, Bernie, I think that gay marriage will be legal in 50 states in this country, person next to him would have said, you're crazy. That can't happen. That will never happen. And yet in 2015, it happened. And it happened. It happened because the gay community and their straight allies stood up, fought back, and said that people in this country should have the right to love whoever they wanted, regardless of gender. And here is a more contemporary example of how real change takes place, how you can defeat the status quo. If we were here 5 years ago, no time at all, somebody jumps up and says, you know, Bernie, I think the $7.25 an hour federal minimum wage is a starvation wage. We have got to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. If somebody said that 5 years ago, person next to her would have said, $15 an hour? You're nuts. You want to more than double the minimum wage. You're radical. You're crazy. You're thinking too big. Maybe $8 an hour, maybe $9, maybe even $10 an hour. $15 an hour, it just can't happen. Stop thinking so big. And then what happened, and this is extraordinary, workers in the fast food industry, workers at McDonald's, workers at Burger King, at Wendy's, you know what they did? They went out on strike. They started demonstrating. They showed enormous courage, and they told the world, we can't make it on $7.25 or $8 an hour. And then you know what happened a few years ago? Seattle, $15 an hour. San Francisco, Los Angeles, $15 an hour. Oregon, California, $15 an hour. New York State, $15 an hour.